Did the Arizona Cardinals land the best cornerback in the draft? JG seems to think so, and we got some numbers for some incoming Redbirds, Johnny V.
Numbies, boys, plus why the Arizona Cardinals are perfectly content with their wide receiving core heading into the 2025 NFL season. Damon Dawg is back, so are your boys. PHNX Cardinals starts now.
Bark.
Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe, will you? Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack in Studio K, joined, as always, by sweet, innocent, newborn baby Damon Dawg behind the mic returns after jet setting, White Lotus style, abroad. No, he went to Hawaii. We're fired up to welcome back Damon, who no one's actually told him what happened at the draft. He's been MIA. He's gone cold turkey. Damon, the Cardinals had the best draft in the history of the franchise. Your thoughts?
Is this team going to the Super Bowl?
Maybe.
That was the only thing I could think about. I was sitting there at the wedding on Friday, my friend's wedding, and that was, of course, Will Johnson Day. It will be living infamy forever. I was just sitting there at the table waiting on dinner, looking at like the in-laws of my buddy's, lovely wife, and just saying, you guys hear about this whole Will Johnson situation? He fell to the Cardinals at 47.
Just wanted to talk some ball. That's all you wanted. Did you hear about Sweet Willie J making his way to the Arizona Cardinals in round 2? I mean, we're talking top 10 talent. And they're like, our son is getting married today. Please.
Who are you again? How'd you get in here?
Please stop talking to us about the NFL draft. This is the proudest day a parent could ever experience. And you want to talk about the steal of the draft of the Arizona Cardinals received. I'd be right on board with that.
Don't you serve on staff? Get out of here, bartender, man.
And didn't Jono Savanea go before? Yeah, he went early in the second round to of course Damon's closeted favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. So
what'd you think of the Dolphins draft? Real quick, Damon. Dolphins analysis in 15 seconds.
Yeah, no, I thought it was solid. You needed to upgrade the line of scrimmage play, and those first 2 picks in particular, Kenneth Grant, Jonas Savanea, lots of size, 700 pounds.
It's a lot of beef. That's a lot of beef right there in the trenches for the Dolphins, and 2 guys that we tied to the Arizona Cardinals quite a bit. And Kenneth Grant and Savanea, I think though you can't deny it just because they're going to be wearing a different team's color. That those are some good picks, and they also get a bruising running back. Can't help themselves. Ollie Gordon II, late in that draft.
I did really like that pick.
Yeah,
I was elated by that pick. It means Alexander Madison is going to get cut. We'll see you, bud.
Slow. He looks slow for the Vikings. He looks as slow as molasses for the Miami Dolphins last year. This isn't a Dolphins podcast, though.
No.
It's the Arizona Cardinals podcast. We are living large. We broke down ad nauseum the cornerback group yesterday. Actually, it was later in the show. And we discussed like who's in, who's out in the CB room. Well, unequivocally in is Will Johnson. And you said something on air before we get to Gannon's comments during our draft coverage that initially I was like, oh, that's aggressive. And then the more you think about it, it's like, nope, that's probably what's going to happen is that you believe he's going to potentially emerge from camp as the Cardinals CB1. Would you like, and I agree with you, by the way, having had time to marinate on that. And now you see kind of the reaction nationally. Of course, we're going to get to his head coach here in a second. You want to articulate a little bit more on like why that's your reaction after this selection for the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, it was a position that they wanted to upgrade, solidify after kind of reworking it the first 2 years under Ossenfort and Gannon and Rawlis. And they kept on kind of moving through, navigating the offseason and kind of having missed opportunities to do so. And then maybe the best chance to upgrade, especially in the long term, is a prospect the caliber of Will Johnson falling in their lap. And like you'll hear Gannon say it, like the minuscule opportunity that had to present itself, like the chance of this happening. Like Lloyd Christmas is sitting there talking to Mary Swanson, like 1 in a million, just about, as far as Will Johnson getting there to 47. Somebody throughout the pre-draft process said scheme fit. As far as the college football production, as far as the size, the projectables, and then there's this just medical red flag that came out, just before the final week of the week of the draft, and the Cardinals look to be the beneficiary. And I think Gannon also puts you at ease a little bit with as far as the Cardinals and where their concerns might be with Will Johnson. I mean, it really is just one of those things where it seems so simple. The top prospect that you have on your board, and he falls to you. Don't complicate things. No matter what your need is or whatever your draft philosophy is, you just take the player. But this is the type of thing that creates draft classes that change things for teams for the better, and gives them a star caliber player that you don't get from, a usual spot. And they get a guy like Willie J, who's going to be right there. But I do think he will emerge as the top corner. I don't think this is going to be like an ease-in situation.
No, we talked about on yesterday's show, like if he's got a timeline on his knee, why would you sit him? What the point of that? He's got to earn it. There's a learning curve. But you mentioned Gannon's comments. So Gannon talked ad nauseum today, not on this show, unfortunately, but he talked on Sirius XM with Adam Shine on Sports, who once upon a time was a big Cardinal fan. I think he was Steve Keim. He had Gannon on, and I want to talk about the chance as it relates to Will Johnson, what you just alluded to. Listen to this bite from Gannon. Basically, like, Gannon was all of us like Friday morning. Well, I can't Will Johnson, the Cardinals. He's not going to be there. Here's JG with Adam Shine.
I said, what are the chances that he's there in 2? And they're like, coach, like 0.02, like no chance, right? Dude, am I missing something? Like, this is the best corner in the draft. Like, what are we talking about?
So then he goes on to say that Will Johnson, here's JG on where they had Will Johnson as it relates to the cornerback group in this draft.
And like when we picked him, Adam, literally like 8 defensive coordinators text me like, oh my God, like number 1 corner on the board, like blah, 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 blah. Like they all want, you know what I mean? And
he also said in the interview that he's the number 1. They had him as the number 1 corner in the draft.
Yeah.
And it's something that we had touched on. Like Travis Hunter was a special circumstance. You talk to people in Jacksonville, it sounds like he's going to play more wide receiver, and then he'll play DB at times.
Mm-hmm.
The best true cover corner, and he plays zone, perfect for Gannon. Just that's your position, is this kid right here, and they got him at 47.
Yeah, 85% of the time he was in zone for the Michigan Wolverines, at least this past season in the 6 games that he played. Guy that he scored more touchdowns than he surrendered at the college level. Like his first start, Johnny, he gave up a TD. He gave up a TD in that Fiesta Bowl that you attended. That was just a track meet.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, shutout, just clean sheets for Will Johnson playing the cornerback spot, which is pretty unbelievable. And then like the big story that followed Will Johnson as far as his fall was the medicals. And this was just Gannon kind of giving you a little bit of confidence with the Cardinals' outlook on it.
yeah, we were really comfortable with the medical. You know, I know he was nicked up a touch in his career, just like most of the guys.
It's like your loss is our gain.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be a fun exercise to go through, Bo, the first half of the second round here. And I'm just going to read you the names that were taken because, again, like in hindsight, I don't know if we remember a lot of the selections that were had because we were tied in on Will Johnson to some degree, but we were also tied in on Scorton and some of the edge rushers, Landon Jackson. So I'm gonna read you off. Like Maxwell Harris went to the Buffalo Bills at 30. Okay,
yeah.
That might be a pick they end up regretting. and it could result in Brandon Beane going on more radio tirades. But let's talk about the beginning of the second round. Right. So you had the Browns, who had like 7 picks, go Carson Schlesinger, off-ball linebacker. Houston goes Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, which I think is a reach. Seattle got traded up for that nice safety, Emory from South Carolina. The Browns come back after taking an off-ball linebacker. They take Judkins from Ohio State, who I don't think is the best Ohio State running back. Dolphins take what I think is the first good pick of the second round. Like in terms of, I like maybe the Seattle pick. Seattle did fine. They get Savanea. Patriots go Travion Henderson. Bears, again, doubling up on Skittles and M&M's, go Luther Burden at 39. Saints, egregious Tyler Shuck, awful pick. Buffalo Bills go TJ Sanders. I don't hate that pick. Mason Taylor goes to the Jets.
Horrible pick.
Yeah.
Horrible pick.
So bad.
LSU tight end, Mason Taylor. Yep.
Alfred Collins, reached by San Francisco at 43. I had him as a fringe second-round pick. I thought there were better D tackles available. He can't rush the passer. Cowboys do a nice job. They get Ezra Rocco at 44. And then the Colts get JT, the other pass rusher from Ohio State. Then I love this pick is like, I think this is going to go down as like a gift from the football gods for the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams, who had traded out of the first, and they stole Atlanta's first for next year. Their first pick this year is Terrence Turd Ferguson from Oregon at 46. And the Arizona Cardinals are like, is this real life? Is this real? Like, the Rams secondary is fine. You couldn't use Will Johnson. You're taking Turd Ferguson from Oregon. Let me just, does anybody know like the metrics on Terrence Ferguson?
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Yeah, he's 6'5", 243. Let me read you off some of his statistics here. Oh no, I lost where I was.
Did you have that written down? Did you have Turd Ferguson in your notes there?
No, I did not. That just came to me organically. Here's Turd Ferguson's stats at Oregon. 141 yards, 391, 414. Oh my goodness, a career year this year. 591 with 3 touchdowns. Wow, congratulations, Rams. You played yourself. What a good, you can clip this if this comes back to haunt me. What a terrible pick by the LA Rams ahead of the Arizona Cardinals.
It's their top pick. It was their top pick, as you mentioned, because they trade out, and you can't decline that when there's an idiotic trade for the 27th overall pick that has a future first in it. You make the deal. And so they bumped down in their first selections in the second round. You would have thought they would have made more of an impactful selection, but they take, what is it, tight end 4 in the draft?
A lot of people thought like fringe 3rd round pick.
He's a rangy guy. He's got long arms. I watched him play.
Sure, he'll be productive under McVay.
Yeah.
No, thanks. No, we're not doing that. No.
Just call it right now. You just put the date of the second round on there.
Turd Ferguson.
Put April 20. What would it be? 25th, 2025.
The Rams took a rotational tight end, and the Cardinals got potential Hall of Famer. Wow, congrats. What was your line, Damon, before the show that you saw on Twitter? Somebody said what on Twitter about Will Johnson?
He'll be like the first relevant Cardinals player to wear number 0 and the last, because they're retiring his number. It's going to be up there in the rafters.
So true.
It's been written already. It has already been written.
This will only go well for us. We're definitely not setting ourselves up for the biggest disappointment of all time.
Us in November. Where's Will Johnson?
Will Johnson just got burnt again? No, that's not happening.
What would be worse? What would be a worse fate? 1, he doesn't get out there, or 2, he gets out there and he's toast.
I am on the record. If he plays, he's going to be great. I'm staunch. I will go into the dirt, into the ground with that opinion. That if we get to training camp and he shows up and he's going to be great. Not good, great, because of his head coach at the collegiate level, how he's been developed, his physical tools. Watch his highlights. I think the most impressive thing outside of like jumping on routes, he is a phenomenal tackler. He tackles running backs. He tackles big outside receivers. This pick is only busting if one thing happens. If that knee is a ticking time bomb, for lack of a better word, and he can't finish his career, and then you just say that's unfortunate. Yeah. But I'm happy that he's here and he's pissed off and has a chip on his shoulder, I think we're going to get the most impressive rookie defensive back training camp appearance since Tyrann Mathieu in 2013. I think it's 12 years later. I think we're going to have, this DB from Michigan is dominating training camp for the Cardinals.
There's been way too far in between. People feeling uneasy with how we're approaching this.
Sorry.
McVay has created a lot of freezing cold takes for just media members in general. Jalen Blair saying, clip it. If you don't think McVay is about to do something freaky with that tight end, you're crazy. Look,
not on this defense.
Is Ferguson going to be able to beat Garrett Williams? Is he going to match up with Garrett Williams and pick him up in the slot? I don't know, man. I don't like the chances of the guy who maxed out at under 600 yards collegiately playing for a pretty offensive football team in Oregon. He played with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, 3rd round pick. Let's not sleep on Dylan Gabriel.
I couldn't be more asleep on Dylan Gabriel and everything going on for
was that you guys' worst pick of the draft?
No,
that one was shocking to me.
It was pretty shocking.
A 5'10" quarterback,
5'10" lefty quarterback,
no arm.
I think
there were some stinkers. I mean, the top of the second round, just look at the bad teams remain bad. Just taking non-premium position after non-premium position as players like, the pass rushers that were still available. Will Johnson was still available. It's really a telltale sign why they remain bad. Mason Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, this tight end class, I don't see a Brock Bowers. I don't see a Trey McBride. I think you're just getting a lot of guys who are like probably solid starters. And I think those were being gobbled up. I don't see any special traits with a lot of these guys outside.
Ty Warren.
Outside of Ty Warren. But people are like, well, he's not as good as Brock Bowers. So, like, what are you getting? Like 80% of Brock Bowers? I think the rest.
You guys don't love using a top 10 pick on your second string tight end?
That was the worst pick of the draft. No matter. And I love our friends at CHGO. And I actually thought, like, day 2, I didn't love all their picks for needs, but I thought they got good value. They rebounded. Bo jokingly said on the telecast on our stream, like, somebody took the controller away from Ryan Poles. Somebody took Ryan Poles. And they took him for a bike ride or something, and then they let some adults make some picks, which I thought was appropriate. That the 10th overall pick on Colston Loveland, there's no way that's not aging poorly. No way. Zero chance.
You're going to have to do some major gymnastics. Say, oh, look at his blocking grade. Look at him open up. What he opens up in the run game is like, we're talking a 10th overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of taking Tip Ryman, but that early. A more, I guess, pass catching upside, obviously, Loveland, but a guy that's
Ryman on steroids, no doubt about it.
They want him to be Laporta too. I just can't believe that you bring in Ben Johnson, not to make this a whole Bears show, but you can bring in Ben Johnson and you're just like, I'm just going to completely go all out and trust what Ben Johnson wants and needs. Is like sometimes you need to build the roster, and then the coach. I know you're looking for scheme fit here, but 10th overall pick. I mean, have a little self-respect for yourself. If you're the general manager, you're going to do something better for the team.
Also, like, Jonathan Gannon hasn't made a draft pick in 3 years. He says, like, oh, I really like this player. This is a good scheme fit. But, like, Gannon, I know definitively, like, he's not making these picks. He doesn't want to make the picks. I'm with you. I think Ben Johnson maybe too much control. By the way, like they want Colston Loveland to be Sam Laporta.
Right.
Sam Laporta, has he cracked 1,000 yards in 2 years?
Yeah, he did.
I don't think
rookie year he did.
Did he? Okay. This past year he had like 700 yards. I think he was just okay. I don't know. Like Sam Laporta in a perfect world is like a first round pick. I'm not taking Sam Laporta 10th overall. And you took a guy who you're projecting to be Sam Laporta 10th overall over. Listen, I'm not complaining. You took him over what a lot of people think is the best pass rusher in this draft, not named Abdul Carter, and Michael Williams, 20 years old. You took him over a defense like who the Bears defensive tackles. I don't know. It to me it's like it. The closer we got to that pick, and we had Albright on.
Right.
Yeah.
How many yards there? He had 889. So basically 889, 10 touchdowns his first season.
So he had the Marv year where everybody's like, Marv's terrible. Like, oh, Sam Laporta. He's great. He's awesome. I think the Chicago Bears like just cannot help themselves. It was just right there. Hey, just take the best defensive player available or one of the tackles, and the tackles were gone. So you have to pivot. Garofalo coming on our show and they're like, they're locked into an offensive player. Why? Who thinks that way? Why do you operate that way?
Right. We just got to thank your lucky stars that the Arizona Cardinals now are run differently and they don't operate that way. They look at it and they say, okay, if this player gets down here, there ain't no way you're gonna have to like drag me out of the war room not to make that pick. It's just the smart pick. And for Gannon to basically on Adam Shine's show today outlining, they had zero expectation that Will Johnson was going to be there, and as soon as it happened, Monti Ossenfort made the pick, made the selection, got him right into JG and Nick Rollis's defenses basically as fast as possible.
Like usually when you see second rounds like that and those kind of players are available, I'd be anxious to see if like we went back to like the last 10 drafts, maybe we do that this summer in some downtime, and you look at the players that were projected to go in the first but fell for whatever reason, character, injury, but everybody's like, well, that was a first round pick. Like most of the time, like they end up at least being solid to good pros, right? Yeah. Like last year, Cooper DeJean, people thought was going to be a first, remember? And then he had a little medical people were concerned about. He fell to the second. Look what happened. Jerzon Newton flashed a little bit. He fell. Like there's examples of that every year. Hell, I mean, I'll give Steve Keim his flowers temporarily. Like Trey McBride should have been a first round pick that year that he fell to the Cardinals. There wasn't a tight end that went before him. There wasn't a tight end in the first round. I mean, like every year you can go back and it's like, hey, who did you grab at the top of the second? Like Budda Baker in 2017 should have been a first round pick. There were a bunch of guys like that. Will Johnson's in that sweet spot, whereas like a bunch of players that were drafted ahead of him, people are like, it was like the Cardinals when they took like, give me some names here, like Ryan Williams once upon a time. Like it's like, oh, I don't love that.
Troy Nicholas.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. It was like, I don't know, guys. Sometimes it's like, imagine if Ossenfort operated like the Bears. He's like, I like Will Johnson, but we're committed to taking an offensive player at 47. The hell you are? Who operates like that? That's just a terrible way to operate. We're going to take one of these tight ends no matter what, no matter if it's tight end 2 or 4 or 7. It's like, I can't emphasize enough. That used to be this franchise right here. Oh. They would just do the dumbest stuff. And then we'd sit in the media room and we'd sit watching them talk at a presser and they try to rationalize it. I'm like, this is going to end poor. There's no way, unless Bruce Arians is coaching these players, this is ending poorly.
Yeah. The chances of success are minimal. Like things in a perfect world, that player is a really, solid player for you, is a contributor.
Example right here.
Andy Isabella, like the worst thing that could have happened to Steve Keim, and it happened earlier in his tenure, it was hitting on guys like Tyrann Mathieu, guys like John Brown, guys like David Johnson, where he could puff his chest out and say, I can find them. I can find those diamonds in the rough, late in the draft. Like, can you? Because you pretty much proved that you couldn't. Now, because the margin for you were in the negative. Like you couldn't. In order for those players to go from the schools that they played for, the positions that they played, the skill sets that they had, for them to be a successful NFL player for a sustained amount of time, it was slim to none.
Think about. I don't want to go through this as a ringer, but I think it further heightens the job that Ossenfort has done. And I think when we rip on Keim, it's just that we're commending Ossenfort for being different. What is Keim doing in his first draft? Don't take guards in the top 10. You took a guard in the top 10. Bust, right? Next year, hey, this guy doesn't have a position. Dayon Buchanan. Oh, okay. No fifth-year option. Is gone. Gone from the team. 2015, he takes a tackle, his best pick in the first round outside of Kai. Oh, you took a premium position? Oh, that worked out. Absolutely. Back at it in 2016, right? With, what they do in 2016? They did Hassan Reddick the next year, 2016.
Right.
Who was that?
Was it Kindiche?
Yes, it was Kim Dichie. I'm going to take a guy who doesn't love football, who's got serious off the field concerns, busts, right? Yeah. 2017, I'm going to take a guy who's talented, play him at the wrong position, doesn't work out, trades up for the wrong quarterback, bust. I mean, it's It's laughable. And then fast forward to 2020, Isaiah Simmons, positionless, bust. Zaven Collins, move him around, doesn't work out under Keim. I mean, it's just sometimes this is just so easy to telegraph. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like all those drafts, I thought none of these guys are working out. But like sometimes you can just play it safe and hit doubles. And sometimes you can stretch those doubles to triples and home runs. But at the very worst, right? At the very worst, we're sitting here. It's like Michael Wilson in the third round. Michael Wilson, I think we all believe, and we're going to talk about it later in the show, can be like an 800-plus yard receiver, right? But here's what Michael Wilson's never going to be: a guy who can't flip him play like Andy Isabella. Like literally, we can't even put him on the roster. He's so egregiously bad. It's a horror show trying to throw him the football. He goes backwards from the first down line. That's what Keim did every single year.
And brings only one skill set. One skill in the skill set. Otherwise is a liability on the field. Like what you're gonna block with Andy Isabella? Like he couldn't pick up anybody. But he's a guy that they viewed as a vertical threat, and it needs to be perfect circumstances for him to work out. And shocker to no one, it didn't work out. Instead, Monti Ossenfort, if he was in that spot, he probably wouldn't even be looking at the wide receiver position. If he was, he would look at guys like Scary Terry McLaurin or DK Metcalf.
Terry McLaurin would have been drafted by this friend. I don't even want to think about it. Scary Terry would be a Cardinal. DK Metcalf would be a Cardinal. DK Metcalf's RAS score probably would have been a first-round Cardinal. They would have taken DK Metcalf, probably a second-round pick. They probably would not have taken Byron Murphy. They probably would have taken DK Metcalf 33rd overall. I don't even want – it's too frustrating. The scars that we have shape us, right? And we prosper on. We're going to talk about rookie numbers, number changes, what they may signify. As crazy as that sounds, that's coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. But first, I want to tell you about, so I met some friends out of state after the draft, okay? And a couple of my buddies were like, hey, we were golfing in Utah, and I picked up a couple hats from the pro shop. They're the most unbelievable hats we've ever gotten. They were Brandon Bills hats. And I'm like, welcome to the club, friends. Brandon Bills, your premier headwear. You can tell I was this way. When people had different kind of hats that they've grown up with, right? Whatever it is. I'm not going to dog on a bunch of hat companies here. And then you put on a Brandon Bills hat, you can just tell the difference in quality. You can tell the difference in fit. They are easily the best hats on the market, bar none. And they are expanding because they are the best. Check them out, brandonbills.com. We're going to hook you up right now. Everybody go and make a purchase using the bonus code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Okay, they've got the campus collections, ASU, U of A. They've got truckers fitted, beanies, tees. And again, I want to emphasize this point. It's for performance and style. Like I run in them, right? I wear them out. You wear them out. They are phenomenal. I just stole the U of A hat from the studio while I was there for draft weekend. I can't wait to sport that. Man, to me, they set themselves apart, not only with their customer service, with their custom headwear. Again, check them out. Locally owned and operated out of Mesa. BrandonBills.com, PHNX, get 20% off at Brandon.
Man. 5-finger discount, Venerable, rolling through the studios here, picking up Brandon Bills. Did you tell your friends where you got your favorite Brandon Bills hat?
I told them the story, and you weren't there to ruin it. I said, Trey McBride bent on one knee and gave this to me. Got down on one knee and said,
he must definitely did not present you with a Brandon Bills hat like that.
Let me just say real quick, update to the promo code is BBPHNX.
Yes, right.
Forward.
That's right. Brandon Bills PHNX, BBPHNX for the code to save 20% on your first order from Brandon Bills. Check out Sanderson Ford as well. It's our official vehicle partner here at PHNX Sports. We love Sanderson Ford. What they got going on right now, it's tough to beat. They've always got a great deal for you, and they thrive on their no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. They got big news from David Kimmerly, president of America's most awarded Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford. It was announced that Ford from America for America employee pricing is going on, and now you pay what he pays for his Ford and the full lineup of new Fords with no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense, no added markups. Add that to the equation, and it's big-time savings for you. The best time to buy a new Ford is with From America for America employee pricings. Check it out. It excludes 2025 Expedition, 2025 Super Duty, Raptors, Mustang, and Bronco specialty vehicles, but you got to check them out. The Ford F-150s, they're unreal. Get them at that deal. You can get Escapes, whatever it may be. You can find it at your, of course, most awarded Ford dealership resides right here in Arizona. It's Sanderson Ford.
Love Sanderson Ford. Love repping a Brandon Bills hat in my big pickup truck, which I will own. I just go over to Sanderson Ford and I just drive him around. And they're like, Johnny, are you ready? And I'm like, I've been ready. And then Bo steps in and he takes the keys away from me.
And they just toss you the key fob.
That's right. Drop a like.
Off, like Will Johnson in coverage.
Yeah. Not yours. You will never be a truck guy. One day it will be me. One day I'll stop drafting or stop buying trucks like Steve Keim drafted players, and I'll become Monti Ossenfort. Drop a like on this video. Again, get us to 500 likes. You guys have been crushing it. Today is the last day of April, which I'd be remiss if I didn't say puts a cap on the biggest month in the history of this fanboy podcast. If we could share the numbers, we would, but they're good, and they're good because of all of you. And we appreciate everybody who watches every show, subscribes to the YouTube page as we are barreling toward 40,000 subscribers. You guys have made us number one for many years now. And man, oh man, April hopefully is just a precursor for a very special 2025, Bo.
Yeah, the views, we'll say this, in the millions. Unbelievable. Thank you to everybody that tuned in, watched a video on demand, watched a live show, watched a short. You contributed to the biggest month here, not only for PHNX Cardinals, but PHNX Sports. Everybody from the Cardinals to the Sun Devils, the Wildcats, D-backs and Suns, feeling the love from all of you, wanting, your Valley Sports right there at your fingertips. And that's what we provide you, the best coverage we possibly can. And thankful for everybody that's joined this community along the way.
The best coverage means we talk about jersey numbers, does it not? I am a jersey savant, aficionado. Bo could care less. I think you like jersey numbers.
Yeah, I'm a numbers
players,
guy.
But you don't like wearing it like as a grown adult man a jersey, correct?
Right. I will not don a jersey of a player that is a couple years my younger than I am. I'm just not going to do that.
Even with Will Johnson getting number 0, Agent 0 for the Arizona Cardinals, Will Johnson. How about that?
I think that's going to be cool. It's going to be cool to see on the field. I wouldn't
your
wear
body. I think you could be repping a Will Johnson. When Will Johnson wins Defensive Rookie of the Year and you're wearing a Will Johnson jersey in the press box of a postseason game, that'd be pretty legit. Here comes Bo Brack in his Will Johnson jersey.
They would throw me out quicker and I can get into that press box.
Hey, Donnie Drew. And people are like, what the hell?
Yeah. What is this guy doing? Yeah, they would escort me out. I would lose my credential, no doubt about it. But like if I was at a watch party or something, still I'm not going to wear it. You can be Jersey boy.
Jersey man. Let's talk about the jersey numbers for the Arizona Cardinals, not only for the rookie class, but veterans alike got some new numbers. Some of these guys better live up to the number change. That's all I have to say. Looking at you, Baron Browning.
A lot of pressure.
The new Cardinal jersey numbers, here they are. Will Johnson repping 0, which I'm sure Cody Simon, who wore 0 at Ohio State, was like, gosh darn it, Will Johnson. I wanted that single digit. Denzel Burke gets 29. Keaton Crawford gets 36. Cody Simon goes 50. Jordan Birch, 52 as an edge rusher. Don't hate it. Hayden Connell, 6th-round guard, 58. And then Walter Nolen, the biggest prize in this draft class, a very, very conventional, conservative 97. But then I look on the flip side, Bo, we got some newbies and some returning players up in their numbers game. Jacoby Brissett gets 7. We know Kazir White coming back to take that number. Sweaty J and the boys, 10th. Number 10 for Josh Sweat. Love that. Love that for Josh Sweat. Akeem Davis-Gaither gets 27. Not in love with that. Then you've got Calais Campbell, 93. Thank you, Justin Jones, for that. You won't be needing that. And then Dalvin Tomlinson, 94. But then one number that's not on here, Baron Browning has switched to 5. 5 alive for Baron Browning, which I will say, Baron Browning, you're switching to a single digit. I better see double-digit sacks. You switch to single, let's hit a double, Baron Browning.
You think that you got to be a big-time player to wear number 5?
Yes.
The digit that was donned by Matt Prater for the last couple seasons, you have to show up and rep Cinco for the Cardinals pretty hard with a double-digit sack season, or Johnny Venerable is going to come after you. I mean, it's I think this is a good little rollout. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, obviously a quarterback. You got to have a good number.
No issue with it.
Worn 7, I think, the majority of his career. You got like the cool one is 0. And like Walter Nolen, as much as you want him to have make a splash as far as his digits, 97's fine. It's a big defensive lineman number.
Give Walter Nolen a single digit for odds. Do it.
He wore 2, I think, in Ole Miss.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But do they allow that at the NFL level? Can you play the interior of the defensive line with?
Question. You might not be able to.
I know they obviously relaxed a lot of the numbers rules they used to have. Used to be like single digits for just quarterbacks, kickers, punters, and that was about it. Now anybody can use them. But yeah, I mean, yeah, these are cool. I don't have any issues with it. I don't put the pressure on Baron Browning to get it done. Okay. I do hope that Josh Sweaty J puts an end to the the musical chairs of number 10 that's been since DeAndre Hopkins left.
He had some bad numbers Sweat had bad numbers in Philadelphia, 94, and then he switched to 19 because the Eagles have so many good players that I'm sure you could never get a good number. I think he'll ease right into number 10. I think it's going to be very aesthetically pleasing for us. And then you've got Baron Browning on the opposite side. I think Cody Simon, if he eventually becomes a starter, moves to single digit. So I'm not saying don't buy Cody Simon's jersey, but like, couldn't you see Cody Simon like stealing a single digit if he's calling the defense? He goes in the offseason as a starter. Like, wouldn't hate that.
50 is a good linebacker number, though. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. So I asked Josh Sweat, I was like, are you going to run him back with 19 in his introductory press conference? That's where all the important questions were asked. I know people want them.
You open with that question.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me, Josh. Have you thought about your number? He said that he changed from 94 to 19. Like there was no significance except he wanted to put the 94 season that he just endured in 2023 behind him. He just needed a little change. But there was like, no, he didn't, like 19's not his number. And he hadn't figured it out, but he lands on 10, which was once done by Chris Moore. And before that, Josh Woods. And then before that was DeAndre Hopkins.
Poor Chris Moore was signed and then subsequently released one offseason. Couldn't make it out of camp. Josh Woods was on this program once upon a time, made it 1 year. So yeah, I think he'll break that streak here. Will Johnson, though, Agent Zero, is the belle of this ball.
You can't call him. He can't be Agent Zero.
Was because it was Gilbert Arenas, Agent Zero?
Yeah.
Can't steal that?
I don't think so.
It's just a big part of Bo's childhood.
It was like 20 years. Oh, that's true, Damon. I'm sorry. I've hit a nerve here. I'm just I'm rebooting Agent Zero for the kids.
I just feel like anytime somebody pops on Zero, they're like, Agent Zero? Huh?
Yep.
Like every guy that's worn that, even like Zach Pascal, they're like Agent Zero. He's like, I'm a blocking wide receiver. I don't know if that's going to work.
I never said that. Speaking of Zach Pascal, he left the Cardinals receiving core. A lot of people didn't, though. It's the same unit as last year. Did the Arizona Cardinals make a mistake not adding a receiver in free agency in the draft? Another free agent receiver that was linked to the Cardinals by this fan base was just signed today. We're breaking it down around the corner. It's PHNX Cardinals. But first, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want my son to hear this, my 10-year-old son. He wants to go to pro wrestling here in Phoenix early June, okay? Tickets are outrageous, like super outrageous. So there's one place I'm looking, Game Time. Game Time's going to do me right. If I'm going to commit to going to see pro wrestling with my 10-year-old son, I'm only buying tickets with our friends at Game Time. That's because they're for procrastinators out there. We can wait until the last minute. I can wait till the Sunday, Saturday before and save the biggest dollars. They already have the cheapest tickets right now for the event. Plus, I'm going to get $20 off my first purchase like you can too. Download the Game Time app today. Again, perfect time. Head out to a D-backs game, right? We've got, of course, spring football for ASU, U of A. How about this? We've got no Suns playoff action, but if you're in proximity to watch some NBA playoff action, no better chance to do Game Time Plus. They let you in with Game Time. You can buy tickets into the second half. Save money now. One day we're going to be able to get into the second half of a Suns playoff game, but that's not happening this summer. But here's what is happening. You saving money. Download the Game Time app today. Again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download it today, PHNX. for 20 bucks off your first purchase. That might cover your whole purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, create that account, PHNX, for $20 off. Download Game Time today, Bo. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
If you've been thinking about it, haven't even really dipped your toe in, it's been too daunting to really kind of tackle new flooring. And it's a tough thing to approach, but not with Empire Today. Empire Today, if you go to empiretoday.com/PHNX, you're going to start your journey with about $350 right off new flooring, whether it's vinyl, tile, whether it's carpeting, hardwood. You're going to be able to check in with the professionals over there at Empire Today. It's the quality, the service, the speed that nobody can beat Empire Today on. And of course, they've got the last trump card, ace up their sleeve. It's the price match guaranteed. Look at what's going on with Empire Today. Check in with their virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how new floors will look in your space. And it's easy. Just snap a picture with your smartphone, upload it, and you'll get the new look in your room. And then you're going to want to move forward with it. Get your free in-home estimate because everything's easier while you're just kicking your feet up at home and having their professionals figure it out. Schedule that free in-home estimate today. All listeners receive that $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for all the details.
Drop a like on this video. We got 400 watching live here on a Football Wednesday. We appreciate all of you. As the Cardinals, they're continuing their OTAs right now. We've seen some photos. It's not open to the media, which is unfortunate. Otherwise, my guy Bo Brack would be there. But, I mean, any kind of like secondhand takeaways you've seen from OTAs? Anybody look good to you from the limited media that has been released, Bo?
Not really. I mean, they released a bunch of photos day one where we got to talk to a trio of Cardinals third-year players and Paris Johnson Jr., Garrett Williams, and Michael Wilson. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet. We've had the team has posted Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson's comments saying that he bulked up. Looks to be true. As Marv looking a little bit bulkier. You got the video of Kyler throwing as well, but yeah, nothing too much out of the guys just getting back and working out a little bit. And there's not much to it. It's just a very easy infancy stages of the off season in their training program.
Yeah, Gannon in that same interview with Adam Shine basically was doing his best to talk up Marv, but not put unrealistic expectations on him. But basically, the breakdown of let's just talk about like Marv's work ethic this offseason. Like the rest of these guys, rightfully so, taking time off. Paris, Kyler went abroad. I think Marv's been at the facility every day since the season ended. And the comfort level, Jonathan Gannon said with Adam Shine that, usually at the end of the year, January, they have like developmental meetings individually with every players. And in that meeting, instead of Gannon giving Marv tips, Marv went to Gannon and was like, this is what I need to work on. This is what I know I need to be better at. And people are going to get their licks in now. 900 yards and 8 touchdowns, I guess, is condemned for a bust these days. If you're Marvin Harrison Jr., which is laughable. I mean, again, no one's stopping this kid and his work ethic. Number 18 next year is going to be a spectacle. We're lauding this rookie class, but really it's like Marv's year 2 bump, which Gannon talked about, is about to be a sight to behold, Bo Brack.
Yeah, and it's going to be more opportunities, I think, for Marv, not just through the offense, but because what the defense is going to create for this offense. Yeah. And it's not just going to be too even of a time of possession. I think that this defense now has the capability of getting off the field, whether it's via turnover, whether she's creating 3 and outs, or just limiting the time that the opposing offense is out there. And yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., because people wanted him to go for 1,400 yards and double-digit touchdowns in his first season, like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, like that. Those are unfair expectations. Now, do people, they wanted like the 1,000 yards at the very least? Yeah, that would have been nice to see. But like when you look at his former Ohio State teammate in Jackson and Jigba Smith, and he's got JSN 600 yards his first season, or at 700 yards his first season. He's going off and he's cruising to 1,000 yards, and he's easily the Seahawks' best receiver in that core. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. makes a bigger jump than that. I mean, I think it's easy to kind of lock in like 1,100, 1,200 yards for Marvin Harrison Jr., and then the TDs be on par with that.
Speaking of wide receiver, we have talked about it sparingly this offseason because I think you and I both felt, outside of like a Hail Mary for like a T Higgins, which I did, I wasn't opposed to. We talked about it in January. Like where would the value come for this team to upgrade? And I think staunchly committed in our mindset, like, if you're going to bring somebody in, you have to be unequivocally for certain that this player is better than what Michael Wilson can be. And we looked at the free agent class, and it was really bad. And outside of trading for Christian Kirk or, having somebody fall to you inexplicably in the draft, there just was never an opportunity to upgrade this room to where I think it can make a difference this year. The Cardinals are going to go in. Let's take a look at it, Damon, with the exact same receiving core as 2025 sans Zach Pascal. And you can see the big five are who are really vying for playing time. You would assume the aforementioned MHJ, Michael Wilson, then you've got Greg Dortch and Zay Jones underneath in the slot, and then Xavier Weaver, who they're high on. And then you got a bunch of guys that probably won't make the team, and Quez Watkins, Bachelia, Tajon Palmer. And I'm looking at this list and it's like, could they add somebody before training camp? They could. Could they pick up somebody cut in August? Absolutely. I ask everybody, realistically speaking, who did you want them to get? Who would have made an impact? Sans a Christian Kirk, which I think would have been a good move. Bo, like, what's your take on this group and the team's mindset?
The team's mindset is they're going to lean into the continuity, and they expect with the improved chemistry, this offense to make a jump. And they don't want to look like that's a naive approach. And the pressure is on, no doubt about it, not just for the wide receiver core, but the entire offense as a whole. But the pressure is going to be on for Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson's production to increase. And Michael Wilson said that much when we talked to him, a week ago. Like, he understands, like, he wants to produce. And the only thing at this point, year 3, that can kind of answer that is just by doing it and putting up bigger numbers and not being in the 500s. But he firmly believes what Kyler Murray told you and I last month, that he's a 1,000-yard guy. So you've got to prove that you leaning into the consistency, the continuity is going to pay off, because you're right. It's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and then Zay Jones is their 3-position wide receiver. And then Xavier Weaver trying to carve out a role for himself. Semi Fioco being maybe taking over that Zach Pascal, bigger bodied wide receiver that can block a little bit, but he can run some too. And I think he can make a play. I think he's an upgrade over Pascal. And then the rest of these guys, like Quez Watkins got, number 16. If we talk about jersey numbers, that's a decent digit right there. Do they have expectations for a guy that they signed to a futures contract? It's going to take somebody making some big time plays to stick here, because there's so many names here on this list that are fighting for so few chances to crack this roster. But it's like what happened with Xavier Weaver. It was not just like, hey, he's part of the active roster for the entire season, and then we'll see who's about it. There's clear interest in him being a guy that they're developing out of Colorado as an undrafted rookie free agent.
I just feel like with the way the Cardinals want to operate as an offense, it just doesn't lend itself to flush the receiver room with a bunch of players,
right?
At least with Drew Petzing as your OC. And I think that's, like, philosophically, like, Gannon wants to run this offense, obviously. But I also feel like you make a case, like last year was the year to kind of spread things out, because your defensive personnel, while feisty, was not ready to contend, for prime time. Yeah, they had a nice stretch at the end of the year. I don't want to sell them short, 15 points per game. But, like, you needed to come from behind ball against Buffalo and Washington and the Packers, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I would argue this year, like, you can be playing with some leads, we assume. Yeah. You were going to be able to lean into the 2 to 3 tight end sets in the second half. You're playing with a defense that allows you to be the kind of offense you want to be. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have to win an occasional shootout, and you're going to be behind double-digit points. That's the NFL.
Yeah.
Just like the Cardinals are just, with the way they want to run things, are in much better shape this year with this defense. Like, Trey McBride, Tip Ryan, and Elijah Higgins all have a more significant role than the Cardinals' 4th receiver, and you can make an argument that the Cardinals' 3rd receiver. That's what they want to do, for better or worse. Multiple tight ends, multiple backs. It's not breaking news that their receivers that they've drafted, Marv and Michael Wilson, are big physical guys. Like, this is who they are. They are not Cliff Kingsbury 10 personnel with a bunch of me's out there at 5'9", 5'10". That's not Cardinal football anymore.
No, it's far from it, and sometimes it doesn't even it doesn't travel well. It doesn't play well in certain conditions. But as far as the Cardinals not adding anybody of significance to the receiving core from free agency, where you look at some names that's been bandied about, I think like Christian Kirk is probably the only guy that meets the slim criteria that you could add a guy to this and it not really kind of mess up what you want to come out of, previous season through the offseason to next season offensively, especially with Marv. And then as far as the draft goes, drafting a wide receiver high and throwing him in the mix, it creates such like the same issue that you had just trying to incorporate new names, new players, Marvin Harrison Jr. last season. And it just creates a barrier. It does. One creates another mouth to feed, and then it would prohibit what you wanted to see, what we were all just banging the table for, more opportunities for Marvin Harrison Jr. Adding a receiver doesn't help Marvin Harrison Jr. become better and tap into his potential as wide receiver one. You've got your hierarchy as far as mouths to feed. As it stands right now, it's Trey McBride number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. 2, and you want to see, I think, MHJ take over for Trey, and Trey still being a high contributor to that. And then, of course, Michael Wilson, see his numbers increase, and I think maybe Greg Dortch and maybe a mix of Greg Dortch, Xavier Weaver kind of be your fourth option in the receiving core.
I'll go out on a limb right now. As long as this regime is in control, you will never see another first-round wide receiver for this franchise again. I'll put that out in the ether. Yeah. I mean, if they're drafting high, people are getting fired, right? So if they're drafting a position to take the next Jamar Chase, Marv, I don't think this regime is going to be around to survive that. Whereas the guys who were taken late teens in the 20s, Cardinals, I think, would rather say, we want line of scrimmage players.
Right.
They drafted Michael Wilson. They see the production. He's been relatively healthy. Now it's take the next step, right? If Michael Wilson has a big year, guess what? He's getting extended. Guess who's committed then as their number 3 option in the passing game? Michael Wilson. They're just, I understand. We understand what they're doing. That doesn't mean you have to agree with it. I thought the offense was too conventional last year. I thought it was too conservative. I thought Kyler Murray was coached to check it down too much.
Yeah.
You have to be, if I'm going to have your back here and say this is the right decision, which I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because I trust this head coach, then you need to prove us right that where the explosives. Get back to the explosives. Big 20, 30, 40-yard passing plays. The Cardinals were almost dead last in a lot of those categories last year.
Yeah.
But if you can manifest that, the Buffalo Bills don't have a traditional number 1 receiver. They can make big plays. Cardinals need to get back to making big plays. If they can do that with this group, then you don't need another wideout. If they can't, then I think we got questions about the play caller, the quarterback. It's bigger than just the receiver.
Yeah. Adding players or new personnel, adding wide receivers, especially from a veteran standpoint that play similar roles as the younger players in this offense. And, Michael Wilson is going to year 3 and Marvin's going to year 2. And you can throw in Trey McBride, but it only creates roadblocks for these guys. And then throwing in a younger receiver, whether it's, a first rounder or a top 50 guy, you utilize 47th overall, which you're glad they didn't. It just creates another mouth to feed, and it creates a math problem that doesn't help Kyler Murray feed his playmakers that we were already begging him and Drew Petzing to feed all of last season. And you started to see them take baby steps towards that. And you're hoping that they're going to be able to make a big jump, all together, especially when you consider just Marv and Kyler, a big jump in year 2 together.
I mean, Elijah Moore being signed by this team, we would have been oh yeah, that's interesting. Former 2nd round pick on his 100th team.
Right.
But what does that really do? Right. Now you can make an argument. Here's the biggest argument for adding a wide receiver. God forbid if something happens to Marv. What are you doing? Are you just flipping Army Navy on offense? Are you running 13 personnel? I mean, seriously, that. But you don't draft for injury, right? You can say Zay Jones could step in. You go extra heavy with your tight ends. I just feel this team right now, you said it beautifully. You cannot add more wideouts until you get this shib figured out with Marv. Marv has to be 1,300 yards, cooking with gas, with enough targets so everybody's like, we're good. Then if you want to trickle down, but again, like with the way they're going to play defense this year, I think they're going to grind people down. They're going to wear people down. They want to be still top 5 to 7 in running the football. Kyler Murray sat on set with us and said, I'm running more this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, would it shock anybody? Health permitting, they're like top 3 in rushing. That's who they want. They want Trey Benson to take the next step, not some rookie wide receiver.
But you have to increase the passing numbers, and they're aware of that. Like when we talked to Kyle late in the season last year, he had all the numbers in the top of his head. Michael Wilson knew all the numbers when we talked to him at the end of the year. Like they know that that's not acceptable going forward. Like they have a high expectation for himself, probably even higher expectation than we do as a fan base. I think they know what they're capable of doing. You guys are crushing in the chat. You got Jalen Blair saying, I also think they played ball control and wanted long drives because of the defense. Phil Petzing will be allowed to cut it loose a little bit more this year because the defense is much better. I'm right there with you, Jalen. I felt like there was a sense of survival as far as trying to elongate drives, keep the time of possession offensively in order to put your defense that was severely undermanned in a position for success. And they succeeded to an extent, but they handicapped their ability to put points up on the board too much to where it ended up being almost a net negative.
I also think with Kyler in particular, last year was his first full offseason healthy and working with Marv and Michael full time. He was not throwing passes to Michael Wilson as a rookie, and Marv wasn't around. So it's like, I want organic chemistry. Maybe it's just going to take longer than one offseason for that to develop. With a new offense with Kyler Murray, new receivers, maybe we were all a little bit quick to rush to judgment like, hey, Kyler, this is your first full healthy offseason. You're running a new offense, right? You barely played last year. Upscale Marv, be on the same page with Michael. It's like, who is he on the same page with? Trey McBride. Well, Trey McBride's been in the program with Kyler Murray forever. For the last, certainly for 3-4 years now. Like, it's just going to look hopefully much more organic this year and not. It was so hard to watch at times, and it's not I promise it's not a receiver problem. Speaking of wide receiver, we talked about it earlier in the show. The Cardinals were gifted Will Johnson because the Seattle Seahawks took a pass catching tight end, aka receiver. We've got footage of that player right now. Damon, Dawg, let's see the graphic. We got there. It is. There's Turd Ferguson on the mark. There is the Seahawks pick at 46, one pick ahead of Will Johnson.
The Rams.
Cardinals. Excuse me, the Rams. The Rams.
Oh my God.
Damon comes back and just cooks up the greatest graphic impromptu in show history right there.
What a throwback. What a throwback to the late great Norm Macdonald playing Burt Reynolds in Celebrity Jeopardies. Funny because it's a big hat. Turd Ferguson on the sign. Unbelievable. Bolo tie, giant yellow hat. It's funny.
This won't come back to haunt me at all. Nice work, Damon. I can't wait to just repurpose that over and over until he's an all-pro as a rookie.
I think that a real curse is in the works if Terrence Ferguson turns out to be like a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know his first name is Terrence. We know what his name is.
Terry Ferguson. Yeah.
Drop us a like here. We got 420 watching live, and we're about to go into overtime, baby. Super chats coming up here on this show. You got anything else you want to touch on before super chats, Mr. Brack?
I don't believe so.
Wow.
We're about a week away from rookie mini camp, so that's what we're going to be looking forward to next week. But still just in feeling the flow from this NFL draft over the weekend, putting the finishing touches on that. I got some feelers out there. Talk to some more people. PFF, obviously they love the draft. We'll get that conversation going on tomorrow. Still trying to reach out to some people that are in the know about these players coming into the Cardinals organization. We'll get that up for you, but no, not really. I mean, everything else kind of covered it.
We're going to cover your super chats here, but I would be remiss if I didn't remind everybody, drop a like, become a diehard, go PHNX.com. Again, you want to check out Fran Duffy's draft grades that are dropping any day now. My guy killed it throughout the course of draft season. Kicking us off today, $5 for Chubb. Rub-a-dub Chubb here. Shame to let Gardeck leave the year our D-line is finally fixed. Dude balled out with no support for years. Could he make the team given a chance? Bo, I'm going to let you handle that question.
So Dennis Gardeck, I think, still trying to get healthy, recover from his ACL tear that he had. Damon's already saluting Dennis Gardeck. He was at the Patrick Peterson press conference, is a former teammate of P2. But, I mean, we did the numbers crunch yesterday, man, and it would be tough for him to sneak into that room with the added the youth infusion that they've had at the pass rush position and Josh Sweat.
I just feel like it's time to disassociate with all former defensive linemen under Steve Keim. Fair or not, go away. Let's start fresh here. Gardeck, you're right, for Chubb, was guilty by association. And he did not ask to be extended by that contract that Steve Keim gave him. He was supposed to just come in.
It was a decent deal.
It was very decent. He was supposed to come in as like a Baron Browning. Come in, and you make an argument he's better than Baron Browning in terms of bringing down the quarterback, but he just, for whatever reason, couldn't stay healthy. Cardinals, I mean, inexplicably asked him to start for them. He's not a starter. He's a backup that can come in and do some good on third down. And that's what his role should have been. And I make an argument, he's not a very big guy. You're putting too much pressure on that guy. And so I hope he gets healthy. I hope he does well. And he's a fan favorite for sure. But it's time to get some new blood in there. I mean, literally, they've had the biggest renaissance of a front seven that I've ever seen watching the NFL. They've literally cleaned house.
They have.
And it was needed. It was so bad the last couple of years. Get them away. These other players, I can't listen.
They clean house. Knock. It's Dennis. Please leave.
We will romanticize players that are nice. Like, I want to win games more than anything.
You have to be respectful to what Dennis Gardeck, what type of player he made himself into.
No doubt.
Coming out of South Dakota State, working at McDonald's, and he signed a $12 million deal as primarily a special teamer, and then taking advantage of his reps at pass rush. It is if this is it, like, he had a great run with the Arizona Cardinals.
He did, and he's a great person, great human being.
Yeah,
but it's time to level up. It's time to be a better position unit. Richard, $4.99.
Stop talking. You're making it worse.
No, this is the NFL, man. Welcome to the NFL. $4.99. What's worse, the Bears pick this year, or the Cardinals pick at 8 with Isaiah Simmons? Man, I would say Simmons right now, because Colston Loveland should get an opportunity to prove himself. Simmons was a bust the day they drafted him, didn't love football, could barely play, didn't know where he was going to play. He's a special teamer right now. Colston Loveland will probably have like a really productive 10-year career. It'll just never warrant the 10th overall pick, but he'll be in the league for a long time.
Yeah. No, yeah. Can he live up to top 10 status? It's going to be the biggest uphill climb for him. The opportunities he's going to have to try to carve out for himself there in Chicago. Is Caleb Williams going to be able to, get him the ball enough to justify 10th overall? But no, right as it stands right now, just because we've seen it, we know what the resume looks like. Isaiah Simmons is a bigger bust right now than Colston Loveland.
You can make an argument like Isaiah Simmons was the biggest bust under Steve Keim, given like the mojo that team had. Like, that team in 2020, if they take Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, or CeeDee Lamb,
yeah,
I mean, they're making the playoffs in 2020. They're a much better franchise. I mean, that pick just derailed this franchise emphatically. Reezy Baby, $5. Bo, if the Cardinals win the division, will you wear a jersey to next year's draft party?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. If they win the NFC West, I will wear a jersey to the draft party. I won't wear it throughout the draft party. I'll kick it off wearing a jersey. How's that?
That's good. That's tame. better than you promising. Like,
I'll take pictures with all of you as we'll do a better meet and greet at a draft party wearing a jersey. Is that good?
Yeah, it's better than you promising 24 hours.
It's not so much like my disdain for a jersey, but to fanboy it up wearing a jersey while the team's making picks and stuff, I think it would be a bad look.
No, you have to go in the press box with a current player on the team and wear their jersey.
What you're asking for is me to exit this show. That's what you're asking me to do with that.
The Cardinals may not care. They're like, oh, Bo's one of us. Good guy. No, it would be bad. I'll never forget being in the press box for that Cardinal Packer game on Thursday Night Football. And you're always told, like, emphatically, don't cheer, right? Mm-hmm. And the Packers media and the Packers front office were in the press box. And when Kyler threw that interception, they all went nuts. And I'm like, MFers, come on. Have some class. I don't know how you do things in Bumblehill, Green Bay, but here we follow the rules. We're rule followers here. You
just enjoyed our hot dog bar, and that's how you're gonna act in our house as guests.
Mark Murphy, I saw you eat 2 ice cream sandwiches. Sit your ass down and stop cheering. You're not supposed to do that, but I get maybe they didn't. Maybe the Cardinals.
Wow! Look at the quick work from Chase, grabbing Damon's unreal work with the Turd Ferguson Photoshop. Terrence Ferguson making it his profile pic here on YouTube. Welcome back, DD. Great show as always, fam. Thank you, Chase. It was great to see you the other night, my guy, at the draft party.
It was great. Chase is a great guy. Damon, I'm going to put you on the spot here. We need to see Bo and a Billy Price. I think we'll go with like a classic, like an Anquan or a Fitz or something.
Our guy Richard brought a Tillman jersey for me where he was like,
I remember that
before you had shown up. He's like, I brought this jersey.
Damn, and you turned that down?
Yeah, I did.
That's a question mark right there, Johnny. That's definitely a red flag. It's like, does this guy love this country?
I don't know. That's a good. People are asking about it. People are saying it. Damon, you've been off for a week. I want to give you the floor. I'm going to put you on the spot. Are there any takes that you want to fire off, Cardinals or otherwise, with regard to the NFL and the NFL draft?
Wow.
Can I set him up for a take? Because I wanted to shine my Damon bat signal to the sky.
Perfect.
When I did my just in fun and jest 2026 mock draft, and I took the Auburn edge rusher, and a couple picks later, Sam Levitt went off the board, and somebody told me on Twitter that the Cardinals needed to take Sam Levitt, and I told them in response, they have a quarterback, and rooting for Sam Levitt would mean something went horribly wrong this upcoming season.
That's true. I think
Sam person told me that Sam Levitt is better than Kyler Murray right now. Damon, response?
Kyler Murray was so good in college. He was so good in college. I told Bo, like, compare Kyler Murray's playoff game with Sam Levitt's playoff game. They're playing different sports.
The Kyler Murray played in that Final Four game, that Alabama team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're telling me Tua's Alabama is a little bit better than Quinn Ewers' Texas?
Quinn Ewers, 7th rounder?
Dolphins 7th rounder.
Oh, whoops. Sorry about that, Damon. That's right.
True. But yeah, I egregious take, Bo. Here's another one I wanted to throw at you.
Yeah.
And we love our friends at DNVR. We love them. They're great folks. They cover their team so well. How about the Buffs crew and with the Shedeur fall? I mean, I know you guys talked about it ad nauseum on the show, but I mean, you basically, I said this today on the Wildcats show. Go check it out. I think Shedeur was an industry plant attempt at being a first round pick. I think they tried to tell us for 2 years, this guy's a first rounder. No chance he's not a first rounder. Deion's having him work out with Tom Brady. Yeah. They're doing all this stuff to make him look like he's like a blue chip quarterback prospect. He goes in the 5th round. It's industry plant. Industry plant.
I think it's got to hurt them that. And listen, I would hate to have to go on that show every day and like defend him every single day. I think that would get tiresome. Like we did that to some degree. Yeah, nobody prank call me. I get enough spam on my phone. We did that to some degree when Kyler Murray was hurt.
Yeah.
but we had like evidence that like, hey, this franchise can't draft and develop quarterbacks. Like, don't give up on him. But like to proclaim like Shedeur Sanders is like Patrick Mahomes' first overall pick, all this stuff. It's just like that's got it. And now it's like everybody in the NFL is wrong, the league is wrong, and I don't want to put them on blast. That would just be a tough way to do a show every day. And so I'm hoping that like they can have a moment where it's just like, you know what, mistakes were made all around from the Sanders family, but I doubt that that'll ever be said.
You won't hear from that. No, not from that show. And look, that's fine.
Yeah,
just there was a bigger audience or bigger group of people that told you that's incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
What you thought, what they believed to be true about Shedeur Sanders and Coach Prime in that era of Colorado football, it was fun. I'm sure it was a blast, especially coming off a 1-win season. And like there was a lot of things to be happy about and excited about the future of the program. But as far as Shedeur Sanders, like legit surefire quarterback prospect, that was Maury. He got the results back. That was a lie.
I mean, there's a better chance. Like I think Shedeur Sanders is probably going to be like a couple year guy in the NFL and then just kind of be done with the NFL. I think like if you're a 5th round pick and you go and Cleveland's not, nobody's talking about it. Cleveland's a horrible franchise. You're going to Cleveland. You're playing outside in Cleveland in the AFC North. I don't envision like Shedeur Sanders having a long NFL career. I think
he even gets started. Like
right. They're not cutting Dylan Gabriel. They traded up in the 3rd round for him. He's going to play for them. I think Shedeur is like it's 2025. I would say Shedeur will be out of the NFL by like 2028, 2029. And he'll just be he's been rich and famous his whole life. He'll just do that. Just be on social media. I don't think he's going to be an NFL quarterback for a half decade.
The uphill climb that he's got, especially after this whole draft debacle, and then going into the most mid quarterback room, and then is most likely going to be one of the on the outside looking in. Like I asked Fran yesterday, straight up, is he going to be on the practice squad? Because then there's going to have to be the teams that are going to have to take the chance on him after Cleveland to provide that opportunity. And I just seeing how tough it is to land on your feet after that. I mean, it's the road is going to be very tough for Shedeur Sanders to make it. And if he does, he earned it.
But at least Adam Schefter said pre-draft that the Cardinals could take Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Bidwell doesn't like Kyler Murray. Good thing Adam Schefter with his sources and Matt Miller, all these people so tapped in. That's where I want to take this conversation briefly. Let's just give a round of applause for the clueless national media that time and time again, leading up to the draft, had no idea where to peg this franchise, from off-ball linebackers to wide receivers to diva quarterbacks. Round of applause. We're just sitting here. We're chalking it up with SEC defensive linemen. Is that good? Oh, the best corner in the draft. Is that good? Man, it's good. You know, if this was Steve Keim, you could peg them like that because he was telegraphing these picks and texting them to anybody who would listen. But not Monti Ossenfort.
No, not got no Monti O. Monti O plays it close to the vest because he knows it doesn't benefit him whatsoever. Wow. Especially when you're picking 16th and you got an opportunity for somebody to fall it in your lap at 47. Ossenfort is not going to tell or leak any information. I think he's got his guys working underneath him too. They understand that. We know Gannon understands that. He's not effing around. When it comes to like his roster and his ability to win football games, they don't F around. And that's great.
And like, you can tell with Ossenfort, like, I don't say he's uncomfortable speaking, but like, he does not want to be like Mr. Famous guy. Mm-hmm. He wants to build a football team, win. He's a football junkie. Keim, especially like toward the latter half, and then especially now, like Keim wants to be famous. Keim wants to be on Colin Cowherd. He's just changed his demeanor a little bit, his physical appearance, and that's okay. He can do that. But like, you could tell like public perception of him was a big deal, was important to him. Ossenfort's like, I'm just here to do a job. I want to win. Right. I want to keep my family here. I don't want to move my kids out of their school. Like we got a job to do this year. And Gannon, by the way, is the same way.
Right.
Gannon is authentic to the umpth degree. And so can't have a better combination. We're so fortunate every day. Those two people are running this franchise now.
Ossenfort, when he's in the front of a microphone, he understands that the media have a job to do, and he's going to do it as best of his capabilities to provide you information. And he's really good at saying a lot, but then not saying anything at all. And that's a skill, right? And that's not a knock. That's not an indictment on him, because you know what his ultimate goal is. He's not going to provide me or any other members of the media any information that could compromise what his ultimate goal is, and that's getting the best players on his team and have sustained success and win Super Bowls.
He's not a good quote, and that's okay. We got plenty of people to give us good quotes, starting from Jonathan Gannon downward. We need you to give us a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Big thanks to everybody in the chat, super chats today. Big thanks again. I want to mention it one more time, helping us make this the biggest month in the history of this company, in the history of the show. Get us to 40,000 subscribers right now. And then also do us a favor. Throughout the course of the offseason, we drop exclusive audio content that you can't find anywhere else. Subscribe to the podcast. Go to your podcast feed, type in PHNX Cardinals, hit that follow, leave us a review. It helps exponentially. Bo, just because draft season is over, your boys at PHNX Cardinals, we got some fun stuff planned here in the coming weeks ahead.
Yeah, we do. We're going to have some great guests. You're not going to want to miss out on that. We've also got the Kyler Murray celebrity softball game coming up in a couple weeks that we're going to hopefully do some fun things with. They just announced Mac Wilson Sr. today. He's part of the celebrities that are joining Kyler, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and crew out there at Salt River Field. I know you can get your tickets. Just check them out, KylerMurrayFoundation.com. You can find a link, of course, Twitter and Instagram, PHNX_Cardinals. Don't miss out on that. We're making announcements every day on their behalf. Excited to be partnered up with them. As Johnny said, like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports, get us to 40K, and then we're going to get to 50K, and then we're going to go to the moon, and it's going to be unbelievable. Thank you to everybody that's made this possible, this community. It's unreal. It's great to have Damon Dawg back, firing off takes. Check him out on PHNX or AZ Wildcats tomorrow. Talking more about U of A. Subscribe, of course, PHNX Sports, as I said, and we'll talk to you Thursday here on PHNX Cards.
We all silly like the mayor.